Hey crew, welcome back. In this activity we're going to be doing some string art. The twist we're going to put on it though is we're going to be using CAD and CNC equipment to help us do our layout work so that we can get really nice even nail patterns to do all the string layout with. So with that on the website, if you take a look at our page, CAD 1, string art, you're going to see a couple examples here that can show you what we're up to. Just some techniques that people did, kind of comparing, contrasting how much string they use maybe on each project as well. And if that's not enough, go ahead and do a Google search for string art and you get a really good idea of possibilities out there. It can be logos, animals, shapes, geometric patterns, just tons and tons of stuff. Lots of great ideas. A bit of background information is that this project is usually done by hand. If they wanted the nails to look somewhat even, they would use rulers and try to measure the gaps, or perhaps they would just eyeball the spacing, nail everything down through their paper patterns, some kind of paper pattern again, and the nails here, pretty decent job, but you can see some are leaning or the spacing's not quite even. So CAD is going to let us make patterns and of course put everything pretty equal around the whole way. And whether you use a paper printout at this point, it would probably be a lot better. And here's one example what people will do. At least all your nails are really nice and even. But we go a step further and we actually have the CNC router drill our holes for us. And the holes then are going to kind of guarantee your nails are all really nice and straight. And it just really looks nice in the end. Kind of going back to these examples right here. All the nails are very equally spaced. They're all very straight up and down. Looks like a really nice product when we're done. So with that, so how do you really get started here? Well, you're going to need a 12 by 12 by 3/4 inch piece of wood or material here on your inventor file. And most of the time people are probably going to be wanting to put an image on that. We'll come back to this J in a little bit because this is just something I drew as an example. So here we got our kind of our blank piece of wood that we'll be using. And when I go on the internet to look for image ideas, I was just picking something random here, Android logo, and I add a BMP or PNG to the end because those are the file types that work best with Inventor. And then when you find one, right click, save it to your folder so you have it locally or on a group drive at least, and go from there. But add those little extensions to the end of the logo you're looking for, and that should help you find something that works better. So with that then, I throw a sketch on this surface. I'm going to have you guys do an offset of 1 inch just to make sure we're not getting too close to the edges. And then right up there is where we insert images. And I got stuff just saved on my desktop. You guys would be going to the group drive, teacher, student, Genoda, and so on and so on. And there's my Android logo. Bring it in, one click to place, escape to cancel. In photos, usually one of the corners will let you resize it. Not only resize, but twist it as well. In case maybe it came in at 90 degrees. You can grab that corner and roll it around. And once you get it kind of close to the angle you want, you can use constraints to help hold this thing in position. So I'll do a horizontal constraint along the top edge, not the dot, the top whole edge. And there, and now the photo or image is going to stay horizontal for me. I can keep resizing it and play around with that size. Oh, it just accidentally locked on that line, so I'm going to undo quick. I don't want to necessarily lock down until you get the size you want. Now you can also put a dimension on the side and just keep playing around with that number and then drag in this thing. Oh, the bottom must have locked on me that time. A little bit of bad luck with that at the moment. Let me try that again. Dimension 9.5, enter. Oh, once you dimension it, doesn't want to move at all. But you could also put dimensions from the bottom and push and pull it into place as well. like that. So there's multiple ways to do it. You can completely eyeball it. You can use dimensions. I do like dimensions to some degree because I like to know that I'm somewhat centered. So like here you can see a bigger gap on the left than the right. So I'd probably put a dimension in there. 1.5-ish. Nope, not big enough. 0.75. It's getting pretty close. Now I can pull one on the other side and see. Yeah, that's pretty close. You know, it's kind of an art project. There's a little bit of leeway here. But use the space. Make a nice big logo. Get it to where you want. Once it's located and sized with what you're happy with, let's go ahead and start drawing some shapes. And the big thing about this too is I need a slot here. We want to create profiles that are actually not completely closed in. And I know that kind of goes against everything we've done so far in here, but we're actually going to, if you are making a shape like this, we are going to do a little bit of trimming here and create a gap. And why is that? Well, I'll show you in a little bit because it has something to do with the pattern that we're going to be doing. And how big that gap is 3.375 works nice. 0.375, enter. Okay. And I don't like it right there. Sorry, let's back up just a tiny bit. I'm going to put it right out of the middle. There we go. Now dimension that gap. 0.375. There we go. That's a little better. I just didn't like the way it curled up around the curve before. So now I'll go ahead and keep drawing out the rest of my objects. Lines, arcs, circles, splines are very handy like this. If you're going to be doing Wisconsin, for example, you'd want to use that spline tool to go all the way around. And the more times you click, the more accurate or more detailed your shape will be. I'll come back to this pattern in a little bit. Finish sketch. Once you have all your things done, we're going to go ahead and use the hole tool. And you should be able to just pick right on the end of one of your endpoints. Right there. And we're looking for a 0.625 hole that's going to go in 0.375, halfway down into the material. So 0.625, 1/16 of an inch, and we're going to go in 3/8 of an inch down into the material with that drill bit. Click OK. Whoa, everything goes away. That's okay. Just go back over to your browser. Expand the hole. Right-click on Sketch 3. Visibility. There we are. And if you didn't want to see the logo anymore, you can also expand the sketch and right-click on the image and uncheck that visibility as well. So we have our one hole, and now we're going to pattern it around our path. So up top here is a rectangle pattern tool. And what they don't advertise is that it is also a pattern along a path tool. So I click on that. It's first of all saying, hey, what features do you want to use? And you can try to click on the hole here, or honestly, it's really easy just to click in the browser. And then we go to direction 1. And then we click on the path we just made. And we're going to change our spacing here, our distance, to 0.375 for a starter. And you just got to start guessing. How many do you think you're going to need? Let's try 20. Okay, that was too many because it clearly went way off. Oh, because I hit 220. That's why. That's better, 20. See, it's not quite enough, so I'm going to go 22. Not bad, pretty close. Let's go 23, and it goes a little bit over. But here's what I'm going to do. When I get to be like 1 over at 3 cent, or could have been 22, I'm actually going to change this from spacing to curve length now. And what it does is it auto adjusts all your holes to fit perfectly from the start to the finish. And yeah, they might not be exactly 375 apart anymore, or 0.375, but they're going to be really close. Or maybe they're, a little bit under, a little bit over. It's okay. But that gives it a nice equal spacing all the way around. Click OK. And yeah, the one gap's probably a little bit different, but it's so close no one's going to know the difference. And you're going to have a little pattern option happening at each area of your logo. Okay, so that Android guy, if I just throw him back on for visibility, I'd have a pattern to do the head, the body, and the other arm. And it should go all the way around. See that again. Let's go here to this Avenger logo I did. Back this up a little bit. Just to my sketch, you can see I have a gap right there. I left a gap in this. And we should be ready to put a hole in. Just got all my information. Oops, that'll work. Click on that endpoint. 375, yep, looks good. Let me go to that pattern tool. What's the feature I want to use? Click on it out there. Got it. Or you can do it over here in the browser. And then direction 1 is that part of the logo. I'm going to do a 375 spacing to start with. And how many do I need? Let's try 20. Because then I can add a 0. Oh, you're going to get that warning a lot. And oh, look at that. Got lucky. Yep. Just to kind of prove what I was saying. Yep. So what happens is if you have too many, it just goes off in the last direction that it was told to. But I know now that 200 is really close. Click OK. It's just warning you that it's like, that's a lot of patterns. Like, yep, it's okay. So with that, I'm going to change it from spacing to curve length, and boom, it auto adjusts, and they're all nice and neat then. If you wanted holes that were a little bit more in the corner points, you'd have to do a little bit more auto adjusting, or maybe do your pattern in smaller segments to get it to end perfectly that way. Otherwise, you'll go with it. We could also possibly add nails manually, but this is the easiest way. Click OK, and there they are. Okay, so that's the patterns. String art, we'll do that one more time with a spline tool. Hole right on the end of where I started my spline. Right there, remembers my data. Click OK. Oh, sketch went away. No big deal. Right click, bring it back. And now pattern tool, rectangle pattern. Click on the feature I want to pattern. Direction 1, select that arrow to then go in here and tell it that spline. And I made that, this spline was made all in one attempt, and then I applied it. So it's one continuous spline. That was a lot of clicks to go all the way around. 375 spacing. And let's try 100 here. That is odd. Cancel that. Try one more time. Rectangle pattern. That hole around that direction. Every 375. Let's try 20 to start with. Here's what's going on. I accidentally had the edge picked. So one more time. Sorry for that. Shows you this is just part of the problem solving process. Things get goofy, you just keep trying. Hole. Direction 1. $375 for distance. 20. There we go. 20 is getting me up to about there. So let's try 100 if I remember right. Okay, 100 went just a little bit past. 97. Ends right there. I'm going 98. And then just past it, so now I'll switch it from spacing to curve length. And it auto adjusts so they all work nice and neat all the way around. Click OK. And sometimes it takes a little bit to process out, and I can turn that sketch visibility back off just to make sure all the holes are there. And sure enough, that worked. Okay. I saved this simple one for last because of one reason. This one actually, it was a little bit goofy when I did my hole patterns. Click on the end. Hit OK. Turn the sketch back on. There it is. Mental moment. Rectangle pattern tool. Pick the hole. There we go. The direction. Now watch this. When I'm trying to pick the J, it's only highlighting back to this point here. For some reason, it won't chain all the way around. So a simple workaround would be to, take what you can get, right, and make a pattern 375, and I don't know what, 30 of them maybe. Oh, I need more than that. 50, more than that. 65, close. 70 is a little bit annoying. Nope. 70, 69, 68, 67 is really close there. It is. And I'll change it to curve length. Hit OK. And then what I'll simply do is rectangle pattern. We could put another hole in, either like a hole on top of the hole here, or we could just drop another hole in on the next segment. Sorry, there's what I'm looking for. Hole right there. Hit OK. Rectangle pattern. Come on. This is one of the cases where it's just easier to go over there. Direction and pick the other chunk. And if it's going the wrong direction, just toggle the arrow back. Spacing of 375, and here we're not going to, maybe 20. Yeah, that 20 is very close, and I can actually just change it to curve length again. They overlap, it's okay, but that is a simple workaround. It takes two patterns to get this one shape, but it does the job. The other thing I found, it's kind of weird, if you put a sketch on top of this sketch and you project all the information of the J or your logo, kind of like why this is all yellow on the Avengers, then it'll chain and do the pattern the whole length around. It's kind of weird, don't know why, but it is a workaround. Or you just have multiple patterns to get the job done here too. That'll work. So with that should kind of get you going in a couple scenarios here on how to make your patterns and your layouts for all of your holes. Stay tuned for the other video that'll show you how to set up to run the CNC. See you in the next one.